What's good, gentlemen? I'm Fitri.
What's good?
Welcome back. I'm back with my best buddy, Leeroy Chef Douglas. How you been, brother?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. It's good to be back home. I'm home right now, as you guys can see. There's a different background.
So for those
yeah.
people who don't know where Leeroy is from Sarawak. So he has a unique name. So am I. You know, people keep asking during high school and after I moved to KL from Miri.
Yeah.
It was
You
funny.
left us, bro.
People thought that I was Japanese because my dad's name is Horohi. No, guys, I'm another Sarawakian. So, welcome, happy Monday. I know for some of you guys, it's quite a hectic day so far. Has been for me. It has been for Leroy. Usually, it's
Yeah.
full of meetings. We don't really get
Full of
much done. So, yeah, Roy, tell people what are we gonna talk about today?
All right. So today we're gonna talk about perception. Perception. Okay. Perception online for businesses. So the one thing that we always presses on for our clients is that we want to build a good perception online for their business. Why? Because now everybody goes online to look about to find out about what the business is about, to find out about whether this business is real or not. So when we fail on that part, people gonna be like, betul ke tak benda ni, So yeah, and the so the guy that's always presses on this perception thingy is no other than Fitri Horohi. Because this dude, I tell you, this dude is a master at building perception. So yeah, today that is exactly what we're gonna talk about. So guys, tune in, listen well, because we are gonna.
Yo, you got front run.
But no worries.
He's got front run.
Who did that? Who did that? Backstage guy. I'll roast the backstage guy.
All right, guys. So, if this is your first time tuning in, this show is called Fix Collab Behind the Scene. Basically, it's a show where we bring you all tech-related news. We bring you all what's trending in terms of technology, where technology is heading, with the goal of keeping you guys up to date. Correct. Exactly. And we also use this session to kind of 4 o'clock is usually tea time, right? So this is our tea time. We talk about what's happening, we talk about what's on our mind, and then kind of share with you guys a little bit some of the serious stuff. Like if you've watched previous episode, we talk about we actually went through Apple's website, so you guys can watch previous episode. You can go to, if you're watching from Facebook, just scroll down, you'll see all the previous episodes. We've also talked about crypto, we talk about blockchain, we talk about Leroy's past. Oh no, I'm just joking. We talk about digitalization, we talk about VR, AR, and no code, and all stuff that if you pay attention to, you could implement this tech for your business. All right. So today, like Leroy said, we are going to talk about perception. So, what's the first question you have for me, Leroy?
Okay, so yeah, the first question that I have: what is perception in general? If you can put it in one-liner or simple, concise. What is perception?
So perception is, I can be biased, but perception is created by your first impression. What people think about you when they first see you. So,
agree? Yeah, that's right.
Obviously,
And
There's more.
yeah, go on.
There's more. Allow me to explain it. There's more meaning to it. Like perception can change over time. When I first met
Mm.
Leroy, I thought that he's this very stern, uptight guy. But as I got to know him, my perception changed. But in today's context, I mean, I look at what Leroy sent it to me. He said that we are going to talk about creating the right online perception. So I'm going to touch a lot about how do we show something online, how do we put things online and make people perceive us in the way that we want to be perceived. So yeah, that's my definition, right?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. In the real physical world, if you know someone, yeah, perception change. But online is a whole different game. You know, I mean, it's not like you can meet someone online and I mean, how do I say this? It's different. It's different. It's sort of like the perception, the first impression that you see of someone online, sort of like sticks forever. And
True.
this sort of like gives us only one window, whether we make it right or we go home. Don't you agree?
100%. You've got one shot in making the right first impression online.
And
And
if you go home, what if you go home, what do we do? I mean, if you fail, what do we do?
if we fail
What do
to
you
make
think?
the right first impression, well, things are going to be tougher, but you will have to do a comeback. Like, you know,
The
everything in the
rebrand.
world, you have to do a comeback.
Do we rebrand or do we come back again? Or do we
Well,
announce 2.0?
yeah, most of the time people would rebrand. This happens online, offline. If the old way, like they have exhausted the old way of doing things and they cannot get the perception that they want, they would rebrand and then introduce a new thing. Just like how you would renovate your house after you get bored of it, because I want to create a new perception about my house. So when we talk about online, right? When we talk about creating the right perception online, I don't know whether you guys know, but the main place where most of this perception is created is what, right?
No other than website, brothers. Website.
I thought it's our Facebook page.
Guys. Oh,
Why not our Instagram?
for business.
So it's the website. It's the website,
So,
guys. It's
yeah.
it's the place there where people make their first impression about your business. Where people, you know, go to your place and see whether it's love at first sight or hate at first sight.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm. There's a strong word lah. Strong word lah. Maybe dislike, maybe but yeah,
Doubt at the first
like
sight. I would
oh
I
yes.
would, yes, I would take that. I would take that back and say it's actually doubt at the first sight. Because here's
Mm-hmm.
the thing, guys. Now we can all agree that everything is done online. You get messages, you get emails every day from people you've not know. You, and most of the time, you base your trust or perception of their credibility based on what you see online. And this is
Yes.
where you would naturally go to their website, and then there either one of these things will happen. One, you will be convinced, it becomes love at first sight, and you want to go after them. In this context, you would reply to the email and sit down for a meeting whatsoever. Second one, it becomes doubt at first sight, when now you become 10 times more doubtful on the proposition of this party. Whether whatever they're doing, is it something real? Can I trust these guys? All these sorts of
Mm-hmm.
questions. And today, we are going to tell you these small, small things that you could do to create
Yeah.
good perception, right? And what makes, like, why do you want to talk about this? So fix collab. So fixed collab is actually
Hold on.
Fixed collab is actually a company. And what we do is we do mobile app, web application, as well as websites, right? And obviously, we all started off building websites. And when I first start, I realized that, hey, if I can give an impression that my company is big, my company is well established, I can convince people to do business with me. So then I actually went out and understand, okay, these are the aspects that make a website believable, credible. And then when I start reaching out to people, it almost becomes too good to be true. People respond, people offer proposition for us, and from there the company grew. And now, more important than ever, reason why we start talking about perception is that 2022, this coming year, is a year where a lot of decisions will be based on what people see online. A lot of, whether people do business with you depends on what you write on your website. And this is what we want to bring to you today. All right. So the focus today is going to be about corporate website. How do we create the right perception on your corporate website so that you get things that you want to get? So over to you, Leeroy.
Yeah. So that's exactly what you said. Perception online on the website is one of the most, I would say, the convincing factor when it comes to getting to know a business nowadays. It's not like I can go and meet the CEO anytime I want just to know about their company. Or it's not like I can go to that company's office and get to know, hey, I'm a potential lead. Or I say potential lead, go to your door, bro. I'll be more than happy to welcome this dude. But
True,
yeah,
true.
it's not like we can go to the office and then just scout around, do our due diligence. But yeah, hey, talking about due diligence, this is where website comes in. And if you could rank um, this I would call it digital assets, right?
Mhm.
So we have website, we have our social media profiles, we have LinkedIn profiles. When it comes to perception, which of these three assets has the most, I would say, gravity?
Right. So, good question there. So, the answer really depends on who do you want to attract, right? So, if you want to grow a fan base, obviously your most important asset is your social media profiles. If you want to do business, which the majority of our listener here are actually B2B businesses, obviously you want to put the emphasis on your website. So I would ask you back, who do you want to attract? Businesses, or you want to grow your fan base? So that gives an idea of where you should focus on.
Yeah. And today we'll be touching more on those who want to attract businesses. So what is the maybe we can start with the do's. No. I think we can start with the do's later. We can start with the don'ts on
Right.
how not to spoil or ruin your perception on your website. So what is the number one mistake that companies out there always do on their website that that they think it's okay, but it's actually ruining or tarnishing their perception online?
Good question. So the biggest turn off, I would say, when I want to get to know about a website is if I land on their website and then it gives an error. Either I can't access the website, that's number one, or number two, the website has been hacked, meaning that I will see some things that I don't want to see. Or number three, which happens, They don't pay the developer, then developer put a page that say, "Hey, please pay your developer."
Oh,
That
I, I came across that website I think last week.
right? And what's your perception about this business? It's
This
not
guy cannot.
nice.
Yeah,
It's
that's
not
right.
nice at all. So the those are the biggest no to me, meaning that so obviously a bit a small disclaimer here, guys. When we say that a website is the place where you want to build your perception, this applies for people who wants to expand online. Let's say if you are currently operating in Malaysia and then you want to expand your customer base, or you want to expand your operation, you want to expand your customer to overseas, you would have to reach out to somebody at the other side of the screen that you've never met. So they will do their due diligence on your website. So that's my disclaimer. If that's you, then listen on. If that's not you, then you're better off going out for tea. So that's the biggest don't to me.
Then what other than those errors and whatnot, that one is more towards technicalities kind of issue or thing. But like for example, like when a developer puts up please pay your developers, that is really
It says a lot about your business.
it does, guys. People are gonna be thinking, okay, I'm just gonna put it on the table here whether these guys can pay people or not. If this guy say, okay, come you do my website, but then I don't want to pay you, then who want to do business with you?
Nobody.
So that's yeah, exactly. That not only sort of like, you see how this relates to how you are actually in the real world. You get what I mean?
True. True.
But yeah,
Well, a good analogy here is, now imagine, guys, people want to go to your shop, right? But when they're finally in front of your shop is closed.
mm-mm,
And what's
true.
worse, if your shop is closed and there's a notice that say you have not been paying rent for so and so month, so it
Oh yeah,
destroys people's perception about this business.
exactly.
So good
That's
that
right.
you brought that
That
up.
is There's a good analogy. There's a good analogy to it. I'm gonna write that down. Hey, you guys watching also write that down. This dude is a killer with analogy. So yeah. So other than that, what other mistakes do you think? I mean, all these corporate guys, corporate websites, corporate companies always do on their corporate sites.
Well, I want to go back to the analogy so that it helps a lot of people here to understand. I wanted to go to the shop, right? And now let's say that scenario one, I don't have those. The shop is open. I can clearly see that the shop is open. There's no notice that I've not been paying rent whatsoever. And I walked in. But as I was walking in, I realized that, hey, there's a lot of obstruction in front of me that I can't even walk straight. I would have to squeeze, duck under the table, and actually go up there, and then to finally go to go to the counter to speak to somebody.
Hmm.
Now,
That's
this is a very tedious experience, which can be translated in the context of website, whereby, let's say, if you want to go in, and then before you ever see something, you would have to wait for 10, 15, 20 seconds. And that would create that, oh, come on, why is this taking so long? And long enough, you will realize that, okay, let's just go out. Like, it's not worth my time. So, slow website loading speed is the one of the problems, I would say. If not the main one, if the main one is not there, I would say this would be a huge factor that would deter someone from wanting to get in touch with you, wanting to work with you. So slow website speed.
That's right. I agree. I mean, not everyone has a good or long attention span. I mean, probably all of you know this. You know, it takes us just few seconds to decide in our brain whether we want to stay on this page or not, whether we want to stay on this post or not, whether we want to stay on this TikTok video or not. It's the same thing as when we go to a website. And I mean, like, if this website takes me 10 seconds just to see what's it did, why don't I just go back to my Google search and click on the second link, click on the third link? So yeah, because I think essentially when people searches for something online on Google search, it has to be snappy and quick. Because sometimes, most of the time, we want things to be quick, right? So that's true. And one more mistake. One more mistake these people always do.
Well, right now I'm touching all this technicality side, right? So before we get to the psychological side of things,
Psychological side.
correct? The psychological side of things, I want to touch on technical, meaning that this has to, as a foundation, this has to be there. It's given. You need to have that before people can land on your website, right?
Mhm.
So the 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 third one is obviously a usable website. Like I go into the shop, I know where to walk. I go into the shop, I know okay the products, the shelves are there. I can see what's going on with the product. I know the register, the cash register is there, so I can walk there if I want to buy right away. So the mistakes with a lot of uh, websites is that yes, some of them may look beautiful, but as somebody walks in, they are left to have to figure out, okay, what do I do next? And this, there's always this debate in our company that is it, do we prioritize a beautiful website or a usable website? And we have come to realize that at the end of the day, it's the latter that wins. We need to have a usable website.
That's right.
And what defines usable? Obviously, we can go an hour diving deep into okay, this is how you should put the button. This is what you need. This is what you need. But today, it's just about giving that overarching concept about okay, you need to have these things for you to build good perception. So yeah, that is the third don't. You
Okay.
don't want to have an unusable website.
That's right.
How do you know it's unusable? You just go to the website and see if you understand. You know what to do.
Exactly. It's like that's why people don't use Ferrari as their daily drive, right? Okay, maybe that's too far ahead, lah, Ferrari. But
And
if
it's
I
actually a
use
really good.
Ferrari as a daily drive, habis minyak, bro. Habis duit, bro, on minyak, bro.
If you can afford a Ferrari, then I guess fuel is not an issue.
Shit. And then kena lalu bam lah dengan our jalan, berlubang-lubang and got, all these cases where motorcyclists kena mishaps, accidents and stuff. Habis lah, kesian lah Ferrari. So yeah, now that we sort of like covered the three don'ts and on the technical side of things, why don't we start shifting towards the psychological side of things, and we can slowly start talking about how and what we should do to improve our
Right.
perception online. Yeah.
So when we talk about creating the right first impression, let's use this example of you meeting someone in 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 real life, right? I meet Leroy. So we set a meeting. I don't know how he looks like. I don't know whether he's a human or he's not a human. So I finally go out there, and the process of just waiting for him is there is so much anxiety because
Mm.
of this. Okay, what does he do? Does he has a track
Yeah.
record? Can I trust this dude? And all these doubts that plays in your head is something that you have before you meet somebody.
That's
So
right.
I'll use those as the basis on how do we create the do's then, right? Let's ask the first question. Who is this guy?
Mhm.
Okay. Typically, I would say if I don't know about Leroy, I need to research about him. I'll Google his name. And if I can't find him
That's right.
there, it will create more doubt. So the do's, number one do's is you have to be searchable. People have to be able to search your name or your company's name and you are there. If you're not there, it's gonna be so much skepticism. It just build up,
That's right.
right? So first do is you have to be searchable. Okay, now imagine I haven't met Leroy. He's on his way. I've read about him. Okay, and he seems like a good prospect. He's blah 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 blah. I'm convinced, right? Now, the first question is answered. The second question would be, okay, what's the proof? Like, what's so unique about him? Human being. This is the thing, right? You go to a you go to a park, and then you probably see a good-looking woman.
Mhm.
That would drive you to
Be attracted.
approach.
Go to her. That's right.
Yes, you would approach and probably say a thing or two. But the attraction will just not be like that. That is just the start of the whole interaction. And
Hmm.
the next question would be, what is this guy all about? What is this woman is all about? This is when you will start looking for proof that this guy is actually somebody, this woman is actually somebody. So what are the proof that could back up your credibility, that could show that you are something? But this is something that you want to show on your website as well. If you are quote unquote one of the best real estate developer in Malaysia, when people land on your website, is that clearly articulated with the visuals, with the images? If you are, I mean, just I'll show you an example, right? Let me just share my screen. Now that you mentioned this, okay, we have Google. What's Google Pizza today? Let's go to
That's it.
YTL Group. Okay, so YTL is an infrastructure conglomerate. They build buildings. So how do we back that up? They say that I'm an American company. I've never heard about YTL. Do you notice that the visuals that they use behind, the video that they use behind, talk about infrastructure, building the right thing? Instantly, just by looking at this, I feel convinced. I feel that, okay, this guy seems like a real deal.
Yeah.
Now you see the word that I use, seems like a real deal. Now
Seems.
convinced. I am convinced, but as human being, obviously we want to have proof to back up our conviction. So this is where
That's right.
I will start reading about the business, right? And most likely, the next place that I will go is where, Roy?
About us.
Correct. We have a statistic that said the second most visited page in every website is the About Us page. This
That's
is
right.
in the context of corporate websites. The second most visited website is the About Us page. This is where people, okay, I'm convinced with all this, right? But how do I answer that each? So I'll go to the About Us. I'll read about the company. And this is key. You have to have an introduction story of what your company is all about. because
That's right.
then somebody would have all the proof he needs to be convinced. I would read all this blah 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 blah, blah total assets of over 72 billion ringgit, 17 billion USD. Wow, okay, these guys are no joke. They're not playing around. Let's have a chat with that. Now you see, that gives me the confidence that, all right, these guys are the real deal. But imagine if you don't have this about us page. Imagine all you have is just, hey, welcome to our website. Here are our services. And here's a little bit of
Contact
updates.
us.
And then contact us. And here's our product service. It's going to be very difficult for somebody to answer that question. Now, I want to think in this manner, right? When I want to do business with somebody, I have this doubt that I need to answer before I pull the trigger.
That's right.
So the About Us page, the About Us, not so much the page, but the story of how the business started, where the business have been to, what is it now, what is the scale of the business now, plays a huge role. You see how they use all these numbers, big numbers, guys. Why do they have to mention that, okay, it's public listed? Because it gives a different impression. Now, what if you're not public listed? Then you can still take advantage of all these numbers. How many years have you been operating in business? How many years of combined experience all the people you guys have? It doesn't mean, okay, let's say if you're a new business, like for us, Fixed Collect was established in 2020. So we're barely a year in. But before Fixed Collect was established, the three founders have their own businesses. We all run our own agencies for a good almost 5 years. And we decided, okay, let's consolidate and build a bigger company. And with that, we have a pool of experience. We have what we call combined experience of over 15 years in this industry, because we have clocked in those. So you see, now I have a number that creates a perception that, okay, this guy's are real. How many clients have you served? How many man hours have you worked on your project? Right? And again, you see, by using these numbers, it creates this conviction, okay, these guys have done something. So, about our story, numbers, these are key things that you need to have for you to build that
Perception.
perception. So yeah, that's that.
Yeah. So we so like when you first land on YTL's homepage, there's visual, and then about us, that's where we touch on the numbers, our experience, what we have done, where we are now. So when we go back to visual part, right? Like sometimes sometimes I see some corporate sites, they use stock photos. You know, sometimes they use photos that they take from Google search, and the photos is like pixelated and stuff. So what would you tell to these guys? What kind of photos should we use? What kind of visuals should we use?
Right. So I call this, it's my own definition. I call it, you gotta have power photos. Power photos is photos that gives value, that gives some sort of depth to people's perception about your business. You see how all these big guys, they invest in corporate photography, they invest in product photo shoot, they invest in all this aerial photography of drones covering all these places. Why do they have to do that? Why can't they just simply put together a picture of New York City and tell people that, hey, we are actually a conglomerate? It doesn't add up. We
That's
have
right.
passed the stage where, back then in early 2000, this is where the dot-com bubble, where every company that simply have a website, their stocks was just shooting up in Wall Street, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So back then, you could get away with designing a website with stock photos, right? But now, either you edit that stock photos and make it less stocky, if there is a word, or you go the route of illustration. You go the route of, you don't use photos, you use illustration, you use mock-ups of your product. This is a lot of startups approach. Like, they don't really use photos, they use illustration, they use animation, they use visual, they use abstract stuff.
Yeah.
So understand what are your power photos. Typically, this could be the picture of your people. This could be the picture of your premise, your office. This could be the picture of, if you are a real estate developer, your portfolio. Understand it's the picture of your customer that will make people believe, that make people feel more convinced, okay, this guy got what it takes for me to want to do business with him. And here's the funny part. At first, you see how, once I start seeing all these elements in place, my conviction goes from, hey, I'm very skeptical from to work with this guy, to now, hey, I can't wait to work with this guy. So that is the role of visual, right? A lot of us think that, never mind, we just put some photos there. Doesn't really matter, as long as you just put the photos there and it would turn out good. That's not the case. We're talking about creating a huge company's perception, creating a perception that when people look at, people want to work with us. If that is not what you want, then you can get away with any sort of photos. So that's my take on visual.
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes even some companies, they use stock photos of, like when we say use photos of people. Sometimes when you're a Malaysian company based in Malaysia, operating in Malaysia, but then most of your stock photos is white dudes, Americans or the Westerns, Europeans. That and for me, I found that macam this guy's a Cincaya do website. You know what I mean?
True.
Like as long as there's photos, settle. But yeah, like you said, that's not the case. Now, pretty much, website is, I would say, for corporate businesses, that is your identity. Even though if you want to debate on brand identity, what is brand identity, what is branding stuff, no. Normal people, your potential leads, potential prospects, they don't really understand that. So yeah, website is quote unquote identity for corporate business. I mean, like but yeah,
It
like
pays,
why?
guys. I want to say something here. It pays to invest in corporate photography. It pays to invest in getting all these resources, getting all these visual resources that could be used to convince people about your business. It pays. We have not met any corporates that have done a photo shoot but didn't use the photos. They end up having a content library that, I can just pull and plug all these photos and put together a convincing proposal.
Yeah, that's true. So guys, go for corporate photographies because that is your image, that is your identity online. How
True.
about like some companies as well? I see they put photos of their key members. Um, what do you think? Why do you think we should do that?
Well, it goes back to the fact that I want to know who are the key people behind it. And if the key people is somebody that I perceive as influential, my perception now has improved about your business. I now see that, okay, these guys are not messing around, right? But that falls back to the whole about thing. When I say having an about page, it's basically telling people, hey, this is who we are, this is what we're all about, and read about us. But there's another important thing that you need to have.
What is
You need to have a place where you constantly update people. So a lot of
Mm.
people have this problem where they think that once I have it, they say I built a corporate website, it's done, and yeah, I can just now not worry about it and leave it there. I have completed what I wanted to achieve, which is to have a corporate website. But that's not how
Yeah.
people interpret, right? If I look at your website and then 5 years later I look at it again and it's the same thing, I will probably think that okay, this company is dead. And that's the last thing you want to portray to your people, to the people outside of your world. That hey, we are dead. Like bye bye. You can't find about us. This is what it is. And this is especially true if you are the kind of company that doesn't really rely on social media marketing because your whole
Yeah.
operation is based on B2B. But you want to find a way to make sure that your website feels alive. So this is where you look at banks, right? The photos always changes. Let's say it's almost Christmas time. You'll start seeing Christmas-ish design. You can start seeing them talking about Christmas lingo, just to give a
Yeah.
perception that hey, we are alive. Here we are, like we're not dead, we're alive.
And we're gonna have Christmas celebration.
Just look at Apple's website. It's already Christmas. They say, oh, please get blah 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 blah. Find your loved one the perfect gift.
Yeah.
Why do they have to bother? Why they they're still better off without putting that new page. It's tedious, it's extra work, but they do it to still be relevant. So that when I reach out to people, this is the thing that even a lot of people like their website allows them to update news, right? And when I go to the website, I see that the last updated news was 2015.
Yeah.
Now I become more doubtful. So you want to treat your website as a portal where you're constantly updating news. I'm pretty sure a lot of websites out there, you guys would have that section. You guys would have that particular page where you can put in articles, you can put in updates, you can even put in new visuals. A simple trick, just change the visuals that you currently have to reflect those of Christmas, to reflect those of what's happening currently, so that people know that you are still alive.
Yeah.
I would say
If
those
that's
five, yeah, like you get that done on a consistent basis, you're way on track to be able to convince people that hey, I'm the right person to do this job.
that's right. Agree. Talking about that last updated 2015 stuff. I remember back then we used to always go to the footer. At the footer, there's this copyright 20 2015 2017 all rights reserved and stuff. Back then, that's sort of like, oh, okay, this site was built this year, for example. But then now, as we are already in this website business, that thing is just as easy as you just go in and then change, done, voila, bye bye. And I don't think
True.
that thing is no longer enough. Exactly. Back then, yeah. Back then, I would go to the 2020. Okay, it's a new website. This year punya website. Padahal you don't know.
True.
The
I
dude
mean,
is just must
obviously,
change.
o- obviously you can't fool people.
Yeah.
Let's say if your design is 1990s design and then suddenly you put refresh in 2020, people would be able to smell that from miles away. But yeah,
Yeah.
those are the things. These are, I would say, on a broad aspect, what you need to have to be able to create the right first impression. But if you are not sure, right? Obviously, we can't cover a lot of industries. Different industries, there's different ways of how you can create the right first impression on your website. This is how we can help. We have this thing called a site audit, where me and my team will go through your website. We'll really take our time. So what's cool about this is we actually show your website to a random 10 stranger. I know it's tedious, but we have our community, and we will ask them questions to dictate their perception about your website. So at the end of these questions, at the end of this survey, you will have a set of data that tells you, hey, actually, right, the majority of people think that you're a startup. And if that is not the perception that you want, if that is a mismatched perception, then you can start working to fix that. So how
Yeah.
do you go there? You can go to site audit at fixcollab.com. You can read the footer, siteaudit.fixcollab.com. Fill in your form there. It's totally free. Put in the details of your business. Give us 48 hours. We'll go through your website. We'll pinpoint things for SEO. We'll pinpoint things about this perception thing. And then we'll also tell you, hey, in terms of messaging wise, in terms of design wise, in terms of how do you want to make full use of this website, we will do that in the blueprint. So if that's you, and you feel that okay, next year probably I want to pitch to my company a brand new website because the current one is not giving the perception that I want, feel free to get a site audit. It's free until next year. Probably next year we'll start put a price tag to it because a lot of people are requesting. And yeah, guys, I think that is it for us to cover today. We are running 47 minutes.
That,
Our tea time is gonna come to an end. I'm pretty sure you guys too. Anything you want to tell to our audience, Roy?
well, so yeah, there you guys have it. Perception. Number one thing is to have a power photo. Visual is very important. Number two is about us. Show your numbers. This is the time you want to brag about yourself, bro, guys. And then number three is always make sure that your site, your website looks alive. In other words, updated. You have no idea what to put. You have no idea you want to design Christmas or whatever. Easy. Like all these corporate companies, what they always do is they always have this poster of festive season. Never mind, you just put that poster on the hero section, on the above the fold section. Done. Voila.
And
It
wish
doesn't have to
people.
be so hard. Yeah.
True.
So yeah,
So, guys, yep.
get your get your audit, guys. I always want to do that, you know. Don't think of-
Get the audit, gentlemen.
So
So,
yeah, that's
what we're trying to say here is that we know how important getting your website right is, because it has now become more important than ever that you want to be creating the right perception. People are starting to work remotely. As you can see, Roy is back in his hometown in Sarawak, and here I am, not in the office, but in my room, in my home office. So the majority of the perception work will be done by the website. So get your website right, fix all the things that you need to be fixed, and 2020 could be one of the greatest year for your business. Your marketing team, your sales team, your outreach team will thank you for that, because hey, now it seems like everybody is replying our outreach. Why? Probably because the website. And how do you track that? If you have Google Analytics and you can see that the data, if you implement all this tracker in your email, you know that people are clicking your website because when they read the email, then you game. Then you know that okay, now the website is really adding value to the business, and that is what we want everyone here. If you're listening, if you run a company, if you're part of a company, to understand, it's not just about a digital platform, digital digital profile about your business. We are going to see a revolution, a change in how corporate websites behave. You don't want to know what is going to come to you in the next 3, 4, 5 years. You're not going to have, it's not just going to be something that you see, you read, and you're done. there'll be more interaction. You'll be able to render their product. You'll be able to have a 3D view of this is, let's say if I am a car manufacturer, this is a 3D view of my car, and you'll be able to play around with it. It's just the start of something big, guys. So that is it from me and Leroy. If you like what you're hearing, if you get some sort of value from here, please share it. If you don't, then don't share it. It's fair for us. And if you feel that we need to cover something outside the website, if you have other topics that you want us to read into and provide our thoughts on, please DM us on our pages, Fix Core Lab on LinkedIn, Fix Core Lab on Facebook. You can, if you're watching from YouTube, I can see there's people watching from YouTube. Thank you so much. And
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
we will see you guys tomorrow. Bye bye.
Same time. Same time. Bye bye.